Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Dickie and Donny Show presented by Business on Purpose. Business coaches who exist to liberate you from chaos so you can spend time on what matters most. I am joined by my co-host Dickie. My name is Donny, not our real names, but for this show, it sure is. And we are here to talk through a whole lot of things today. We are in season 3. We have been grinding with a lot of different conversations. You know, we started off with kind of the phone booth, old school, where are we starting? And now we're on brand new cell phones, iPhones. Last episode was with our man Chirac talking about AI and how to leverage it. So we've been from the very beginning to now technology, because that seems to be all over the place. But today, Dickie, today,
yeah,
today we do
really
match.
the matching
Fun.
pullovers. What do you call these?
If everyone listening this could email scott@mybusinessonpurpose.com and say, please get your guys more gear, that would be great. So that is
I
Scott
think
at
he'll hear this.
mybusinessonpurpose.com. I do think he listens to these. He is, as we speak, on a flight to the Bahamas. So
Sweet.
spend some time on a boat with some friends. And that is not as vacation as it sounds. I do believe it is work related, funny enough. So
That's
um,
fantastic.
lest you think you've made it, you have not. But today we are talking about, we work a lot with construction. And when people build a house, where do they start, Dickie?
They start with the dirt.
They start with the dirt. Then from the dirt, you
I
can
didn't know where you're going
buy
with this one.
dirt. Where do they go from the dirt?
Dirt to digging footings or
Dirt
clearing
to
the land.
footings. D to F.
Footings. D to F. Footings.
I don't think we
pin
want
the
to say D to
footings.
F.
Okay.
Dirt to footings. From footings,
Uh-huh.
we continue building, right?
Yes.
And at
Footings,
some
foundation,
point,
right?
we have foundation. Then you'll see the frame, you'll see the walls, and at some point, the construction crew will build what is called ceilings. And that ceiling lays out where a place we cannot go above outside of a door. And today we are going to be talking about 3 common ceilings within both a business, specifically within the business owner, a ceiling that they can reach. So, Dickie, what's your favorite story thus far from your 46 years of life related to ceilings?
Not 46, but
How many? How many is it?
I'll be 43 in a couple weeks.
Well, you speak
So
like that of a 46-year-old.
I feel like I'm 86 sometimes. I'm an old man.
Okay.
So I'll tell you a little story about. Have I told you my anarchy story?
No.
Buckle up, bro. Buckle up. So when I was in 8th grade, I really wanted a pager. Do you know what a pager is?
That's rude. Yes, I know what a pager is.
So I wanted a pager because I had 4 friends that wanted to text me, page me 911, right? So I told my parents I want a pager for a year, 2 years. And they're like, we're not buying you a pager, which was the right decision. In 8th grade, I was like, you know what? I'm independent. I need a pager so I can really show my independence. They said, no, not doing it. And I was like, I'll pay for it. I literally had saved money for it. You know, Action Wireless, $6.95 a month, pager, get 100 pages. And they were like, no, we're not doing it. So I was like, fine. I grabbed a Sharpie marker and from corner to corner of my bedroom ceiling drew an A. Like from corner to corner, a big giant A across the ceiling for anarchy. And that was my domain. And they could no longer have authority in my domain. And when I met my wife, she came back to my childhood home in college. And she was like, what the hell is on your ceiling? I was like, oh, let me tell you a little story. Somehow 20 years later, 20 years of marriage later, she's still here. But we tell that story all the time.
Is it
And
still there?
no, they eventually painted the house and did a bunch of stuff to it. But I told my kids if they ever wrote an A on the ceiling, I mean, they'd be sleeping in the woods for weeks on end without food and water.
Dude, that's such an amazing I mean, one, if someone asks, do you have a ceiling story? 95% of people have to say no immediately. But for you to not only have one and for it to be amazing is
I
crazy.
thought I had told you that story. Isn't that?
I did not know the anarchy story.
That's a good one, man. You know a lot about me now in my
Dude, I feel
I was really I was a kid who didn't like authority. Maybe that's still true, but I was kind of like, I'm gonna run my own way. And that didn't really work well with parents.
No, my kids my kid's only 5 and he's trying and it's not going well for him right now. But anarchy, that's amazing. My ceiling story that came to my mind was my kids, you know, at some point, Easter basket or something, they got like these little sticky dinosaurs where they like put their finger in the head and they pull it down and it launches off their finger and can stick to
Oh
something.
yeah. Love
And
those.
it's great. And then our last house, the ceiling in our living room was like 25 foot tall. It was like kind of, it's the whole house. It was a second story and it was just really, really tall. And my kid was 2.5, didn't know what he was doing, was playing with that thing. And one time did it so hard that it stuck up on that ceiling. And there's no way for us to get it back, right? There's no way for us to get it back. And we forgot about it. It was there for over a year. And then when we went to sell that house, we were selling it. And our realtor was like, hey, they liked the house, but there's one thing they want to request. And I said, what? And they were like, can you leave the dinosaur on the ceiling? And I completely forgot about it. And they were like, they think it's hysterical and they love it. So we kept the dinosaur up on the ceiling of that super high room that my 2.5-year-old just flippantly launched a little dinosaur up there. And they requested that it stayed and it stayed. So
Yeah, some people can't afford to live in a starter castle like you, but you got
starter
25-foot
castle. That was
ceilings.
we've moved too many times. I mean, Dickie, and now we've been married longer now. At the time, we had been married for just at 7 years,
Hmm.
just under 7 years, even. My math's correct. And we had 11 different addresses that if you would have been like, where do
Nice.
we send your mail to? We had had that many moves in seven
Wild.
years. And so it's not, I would not draw it up that way. So there's a
Hmm.
whole reason why, but I would not draw it up that way.
So we renovated our house in 2011. I think you can bury me in the crawl space. I'm not moving ever. Like I just can't. I can't move. Like I'm 86. I'm old. It ain't happening.
We've moved. I'll tell you what it did. The effort and the time and effort to move was never worth more than the amount of money we were going to make on a house. And we never made like
Hmm.
millions, but we were so young. I was working in ministry, weren't making money. So the ability to live in a house for 11 months and find a way to make 25 grand net at the end of everything was worth
Yep.
packing everything into a U-Haul and moving 25 minutes down the road to another house to then make some money
I
on
appreciate
that
that.
and push it.
Yeah.
So we like the amount of money we could have made on a house just always outweighed the effort and strength required. And
Love
it
that.
just like I was a young guy and I had enough friends that were like, yeah, well, for a freaking pizza, I'll come over and help you move some furniture. I was like, yeah, we'll figure it
Yeah.
out. So I now know how every piece of furniture in my house fits both through a 32-inch door frame, a 36-inch door frame, how to get it upstairs with like I know every piece of furniture
Love
inside
it.
me. So
That's killer.
speaking of
Well, we're
ceilings,
talking about ceilings today. And, I've been working with business owners for years. And one of the things I see often is three areas that, unless these are fixed or unless these areas are worked on, the business will hit a stall. The business will hit a ceiling. There will be a friction point that it cannot
mm,
move beyond.
yeah.
And really, where I saw this was the hardest truth of leadership is that if we want a business to change, we ourselves as leaders have to change. And that's
Mm,
one of the hardest truths of leadership that I've had to face on my own person and leadership journey is that if I want something to change, usually I'm looking externally. I'm going to change something else.
yeah,
But
that's
what
good.
we see often, how leaders handle conflict, how leaders handle stress, how owners and entrepreneurs make decisions, all those are internal challenges and struggles that if you're a healthy person, like in your mental health, your emotional health, if you understand fear and risk and you're balanced in your view of how to run a company and how to lead people, you will do all right. But what we see a lot of times is that the stress and the fear and the anxiety and the cycles of business, the ups and downs and the sideways and the firings and hirings and money challenges really wear on people emotionally and internally. And so for us to grow our business, a lot of times we have to grow as the person in charge, the leader has to grow. And so I see that often.
Yeah, you mentioned, and I think you didn't say all three ceilings, right?
No, I didn't say the first ceiling we've got is the leadership has to grow and change. And that
Yep.
would be the whole leadership team, not just a single leader.
Right.
There needs number two, you need more clarity on what you do and where you're going, vision, values, direction, strategy. And number three, you need written down processes and systems because you can't automate and delegate what you can't review, and you can't
That's
improve
right.
what doesn't exist.
I love those three. Your personal leadership and the willingness, not even only ability, but your willingness to actually change and grow. A lot of business owners are stubborn or strong-willed, as my wife would say. They have, the clarity of vision is great, and then systems and processes to help automate and get you there effectively that don't require you. That's like one of the highest ceilings. That's actually probably the number one ceiling most of ours find themselves when they start with BOP is, hey,
Right.
everything's in here. What does that scream to us? You are now the ceiling. Like you're really good, but your ability to communicate that is now the ceiling because nothing's written down. That leadership, you mentioned someone with the breadth of being a leader in their leadership team. Ed Friedman has a book called The Failure of Nerve, and it's
Have
really,
that
really
book.
good for leaders. And it talks about the term it was as a well differentiated leader. And you want to
Mm.
talk about being able to bust through that ceiling is if you can become the definition that Ed Friedman gives for a well differentiated leader, and I'm not going to share all of that. I actually would challenge you to read that book. That is what it would take. I think a lot of times I was with a business owner this morning, literally this morning we were together, and Dickie's left me. I don't know where he
I was
went.
looking for the book. It was right there in that box, but I'll look for it later.
You put
Anyways,
your books in a box?
I just moved all my books from downstairs. We went through 30 boxes of books, and I'm getting them in the right places. So that was, I'm here with you. I didn't leave
Most of
you.
the books I own. There's like this, and then multiply this by two on the other half of that shelf. But that leadership piece is huge. I was talking earlier, and the business owner asked, "What do you think my superpower is?" Fair question
Great
as a coach,
question.
kind of a cool
Yeah, yeah.
question. He had been asked that and he didn't know how to answer. And he's like, "You've been with me multiple years. We work really well together. What's a superpower of mine?" And I thought through it and I kind of verbally talked. And then I ended on it's relationships because you're like the reason that your business grew the way it did is because the relationships you had with people. When you reached financial woes in your business, you had to call your subs and say, "Hey, I'm going to be 8 to 9 months late on your payment, but I have you if you'll let me." And his subs, based on their relationship, were like, "We're all good. Like, I trust it." And they're now all paid back. And then he went to his bank and had to say, "Hey, I need this to cover this." And because of the relationship he had with his banker, they like extended something past what he was allowed to do or whatever it was. And then, like, even this morning, he was late to our call or close to late because he was at his dentist. And he's like, "But we got talking because I built my dentist house 5 years ago for him. And now he's having an issue with this. And I told him I'd have someone out there today." It was relationships. And I really do think that sets him apart. But it's not just that. He's got a leadership team of three other individuals. There's the four of them. And those three mimic his leadership. All three
Wow.
of those men lead through relationships because that's how the owner led. And that is someone who's not allowing that ceiling to be reached. Like they are constantly developing who they are as a leader because he knows that that's crucial. I have other
Mm.
teams where that's not the story, where they have guys and they're like, "I can't believe that guy hasn't risen to this level yet." And you want to argue, like, hey, respectfully, you're asking him to be at a more mature leadership stage than you're in. And it can't be that. Like, that guy cannot step up to start seeing things that way unless you do, because you don't want to do it, but you're the ceiling. So I think
And
that
I
leadership one is
almost,
spot on.
I almost, have you been to those like crazy roundabout circles? Everybody has to go through the same intersection. So say the
Yeah, we've
leader is
got
the
a ton of them.
intersection. We got to run every car through that intersection. Well, you're limited on the amount of time and cars you can fit through that intersection. If
That's
you
so
create
good.
4 or 5 lane highway, and this is process, this goes to number three, processes and systems. But if the leader is willing to divest, delegate, move ownership and work outside of them, then the capacity to do work, the capacity to run their business increases because it's not everyone running through the same turnstile.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so Dickie, for the sake of time, we'll move on. But if you were to meet someone who diagnoses their audits their own ceiling and capacity as a business and says, "It's my leadership that's the ceiling," what's one thing? I don't think we need to give them multiple. What's one thing you would do to challenge them of, "Hey, if you identify that as a ceiling, go take this step"?
Yeah, that's such a broad question. We use the disc test, so if
That's
we
good.
would use their disc to just get a general assessment of where their redlining is, where do they end up burning out, or where do they end up burning other
Yeah,
people out. We
that's
could probably
good.
try to assess the disc, but I think really a willingness to see yourself is really hard. Like I think personally for me, I'm trying to think of an area where I've criticism is, I mean, nobody likes criticism, but when you're a leader, you have to be willing to hear a lot of opinions and not take it personally. Because if you own a business, you really are like, man, this is my baby. I've built this, I've planned it, I've dreamed of it. And so then, when people say, well, I don't like the way you're running this nonprofit or business, you're like, I've thought and planned and
Yeah.
executed all so much. And so I have to shelf my own pride of what I'm willing to hear. So if I'm willing to hear people, I like to eat the fish, leave the bones, kind of thing. I don't need to hear everything people have to say.
I've never heard that one.
Uh-huh.
I've heard
Yep.
eat the watermelon, spit out the seeds.
Same concept, really
Sounds like it.
same vein of
Yeah.
analogy.
Man, there's very few things, and we'll jump in. On a hot summer day, to get a nice cold piece of ripe watermelon is
Mm,
some of the best. And I would argue the same about some well-cooked fish almost year round. Like well-cooked good fish is so good.
kind of feeling a branzino tonight. Maybe I'll
I don't know what a
cook.
branzino is, but it sounds like
It's
a
one of
fun
that
drink.
those giant ones that come out when they fillet it with they pull the skeleton out. You know that
I'm a
one?
little shocked with what my name is and how big I am. Nobody's ever called me Branzino. I'm a little shocked by that.
Oh,
So
what a name,
I'm a little shocked.
Branzino!
So
Ah!
I'm a fish, baby.
Yeah. So number one is the leader.
Yeah.
Can you grow as a leader?
And
And
the
that's
DISC
willing.
test is great. The DISC test, Google it. It's a personality test related to how you function in the workplace. That's why we use it. Super effective to show both skill sets you can lean into and weaknesses you can sharpen. So I think that's a great one, Dickie. Okay, what was number
I'd
two?
also number two is vision and clarity. Vision and clarity. Is there a GPS coordinate where your business is headed? Are we going
Mm,
to build 10 houses a year or 100? Are we going to build production houses? Are we going to build custom? Are we going to do this type of client or this type of client? Are we high white glove service or are we value, just getting it done? So if your team knows those guardrails, either in a vision, 3-year vision story, 1-year strategic plan, unique core values, if you've given those guardrails, they can operate more freely because there's less choices. The more choices they have to make in a day, the slower they're going to be able to run as a team. They're going to be
ask my
bogged down by
wife.
decisions. Yeah.
Dude, that's my wife who's now
This
managing
sounds
3 kids
personal.
at home.
Oh,
And it's not that she's slow, it's just the amount of decisions she has to make in a day. Like it affects her wholeheartedly. Where, like, even the whole, like, hey, if I can get home 1 hour early, just the relief of that's 1 hour less of being the sole decision maker. Now, that's raising a family. You could argue there's a lot of similarities with owning a business and with your leaders, just the amount of decisions they have to make is huge, but you give them a vision and a roadmap of, hey, this is where we're going is huge. Huge. Even today, I was with that same business owner. We were talking, and I've been with him multiple years now. And he's like, hey, I don't want to work Fridays. And I was like, you never said that to me before. And he was like, really? And we literally went back to his 7-page vision story and we updated that he didn't want to work on Fridays. And you know what would have been nice to know years ago? That he didn't
yes.
want to work on Fridays. You know what he didn't know years ago? That he didn't want to work on Fridays. So
Mm,
now he's like developing a vision, and it's like, hey, that has become a ceiling because you haven't even been able to verbalize what you actually want. So let's get
mm,
this thing on paper. And I literally made a note next week, we're going to update his whole vision because that has become a ceiling because nobody else knows, well, we would have to pick up the slack on Friday. It's not their fault to know that or to not know that. It's genuinely he has been unwilling, and it's really his mind is now on the appropriate things to actually create a healthy vision because he's freed up. But that shined for me today, where
love
he
that.
like shared something that was so explicitly detailed that people need to know that.
Yeah.
And this is
Love
the
that.
first time he's verbalized it. So he's
When,
pushing through
when
that ceiling, which is cool.
when I was training for triathlons and doing Ironmans, I had a bike trainer in the basement, and I have a training program that you go down to the basement, you open the iPad, you put your shoes on, and you press play. There's a training plan that's been populated, and so it's intervals this day, it's endurance the next day. The easiest way for me, it was just there was no decision to make. I didn't need to make, do I want to do this one? Do I want to do this one? It doesn't matter. It was already set. So if you've got that clarity of what, this is the race I'm running, this is the exercise that's going to get me there. All I need to do is step on the bike. You're reducing the amount of decisions you have to make. I got water, I got my heart rate strap, ready to go.
That's so good. So my one action there would be if you are auditing your ceilings as a business and where your capacity is, if you have the sense that you are like you are just spinning and making decisions and having to make a novel move, a new move every time.
Mm.
That's a good, and that's not just like, well, we do pre-construction differently every time. That'd be a great metric too. But it would genuinely be the like, man, every week we walk in, I don't even know what we're doing this week, but we're just, that is a great
Mm.
way of knowing that your vision is at a ceiling and your business is up against it and it cannot grow without an updated vision.
That's
So
right.
that would be, if you see that, my step would be to reach out to us and we'll help you create a vision for your company.
Absolutely. And then
So
the third one would be processes and systems. And a lot of people ask me what differentiates us from EOS, one of the big coaching platforms.
can't believe you
And
said it out loud.
beside, yeah, well, I'd like to, the keyword SEO searches, maybe that matters for podcasting. It probably does.
Entrepreneurial Operating Systems, EOS.
The two things that we do better than EOS is building a process map, a master process roadmap, and reviewing finances. So getting a more comprehensive view. But the process and the systems is really what I've told people lately. There are three things you can do. If there's something to be done, work to be done, it's a contract to be written, it's an estimate to be given, it's a, pre-construction walk to do, an invoice to create. You can do it, number one, which is the most labor intensive for an owner. You can delegate it, you can hire and you can find people to run those systems for you, or you can automate it. And if we're going to scale businesses, we
Hmm.
have to be heavier on the automation delegation to people rather than being the bottleneck of those systems. And so the first step is identifying what do we do and how do we do it? And then I can decide what's the best course of action to get me out of the business. Because
Yeah.
as you know, most of our business owners are in the weeds of the business.
Yeah, 100%. And there's no shame in that, but that is a ceiling. Like you have to acknowledge both of those to be true. Like there's no shame because the fact that you've gotten where you were is a feat of grit. And I was, man, when we were at the International Builder Show 2 weeks ago now, which is crazy because it was so much fun. I feel like it was yesterday. I met a business owner and just in tears because he's like, I've worked so hard
Mm.
and yet I have nothing to show for it. We have some houses we've built, but like, well, I don't have any, they have zero system, zero process. He's got a slew of employees, but the ceiling is just that, like, it's all like, what is it? Like, I'd have to drive someone around our town for 45 minutes to show them four or five of the things I've built. Like, is that what like my resume is? Or do I have something to show for it? And he was realizing he really doesn't because there are a lot of these that were lacking for him and his ceiling. His ceiling was lower than some others because of the lack of some of that. But there's no shame in it. It's just okay. If you want to now go somewhere that your ceiling's not allowing you, make a change. And that change a lot of the times is document our process. What's the next step? How do we get from here to here? And I would say 5 years ago, automation was probably not even in that list. It would have been great to be in that list. But now with technology, like automation is a very real answer. It takes a little effort, but so does everything. But automation is a very real answer to a lot of this, to simply automating, even if it's 50% of the process. You just saved
Mhm.
yourself 50%. Now figure out what to go do with your time. But that systems and processes, I agree, I think if you were to poll BOP clients and say, what are the two things that like I know it's all helped. Like I get that. It's all helped. What are two things that you feel like you would say this right here? And it would be the financial tracking on the level two dashboard, and it would be the
Cash,
master process roadmap. Those two
master
things,
process.
I mean, nine
And I
times
would
out of
add
10,
I
at
would add
least.
hiring process. People freak out about the
Sure.
hiring
I
process.
like especially people that want to grow. We do have a lot of clients that don't want to grow. And I've had a client and I just realized this. It'll be 2.5 years next month. We've not ran
Mm.
the hiring process once. He's yet to hire, which shows
Mm.
so many really good things about his business. It shows one, his culture was strong because people are staying. Two, it shows he knows what he's doing a little bit. Three, what it showed was we were actually underutilizing his team and now we have his team up because his revenue's grown and we can still do it on the current team. But I agree with you. Having like the hiring process will change. If you've been through the roller coaster of hiring and you don't have a process, then yeah, you're right. That does change the game.
Game changer. Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I'll tell you a dirty little secret about, the private equity industry
anarchy.
currently.
This is the
Anarchy.
second dirty little secret I've gotten.
Yeah, this is a good one. When people are doing diligence to buy companies, they're assessing cash flow, they're assessing any type of backlog and any type of contracts. And EBITDA and how much profit does this thing make? And so they're like, okay, generally we make this much money. We're going to give you this multiple. And now we have a business. We own a business. This business is going to cash flow. It's a cash cow. We're going to make so much money. And what most people don't realize is the overinvestment of an owner or an operator in the business, that when they sell the business, all of the mind, all of the contacts, the Rolodex on a cell phone, the tribal knowledge of how that business runs is still in that owner's mind. And even if you've got earnouts, and even if you've got all this structure that that person would share and divest information, I've seen it probably 3 different times where they realized, oh my gosh, I have to reset this business or rerun this, rebuild it, where I thought this was up and running. I thought I bought a car with an engine in it. Turns out the engine has a very bad leak.
Yeah. And I don't think this is oversharing. So we have, we do a lot of business valuations through the SEPA Certified Exit Planning Advisory. And when we score businesses, and this is probably worth probably its own Dickie and Donny show of how do you actually value a business? It's probably worth doing as we look at it.
Sounds like a next week episode to me. I'm going to write it down.
How about them apples? You like, I got her number. What a great, it's not your fault.
What a great movie.
Dickie, it's not your fault.
What's not?
It's not your fault.
I don't know what is happening.
What a great scene. One of the best.
Oh, you're talking about Good Will Hunting?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's where the apples and I got her number and the so good. The scene where he's like, if you're here in a year, it's a disgrace because you can get out of this. And it's his buddy. I don't know the guy's name. Is it Ben Affleck? Who's in that movie? Who's the
Yeah,
is that who it is? And they're drinking a beer on the car and he's telling Matt Damon, he's like, if I'm here in a year, that's a success because I made it or something like that. If you're here in a year, that's a disgrace because you're the only one with something enough to get out of here. Dude, what a that movie is. I'm okay. I'm sold. We need to eat popcorn and drink whiskey while watching that movie some night. I digress. When we score a business on, hey, where are you on all these metrics that somebody looking to buy your business, they want to buy something that's attractive. They want to buy something that's healthy. So they look at all these metrics. When we score each of those metrics, there is a very clear line. Is it written down or not? And if it's not written down, the grade of that, even if it's well thought out, fully developed, there's a reason that that grade is so low. It's a 2 or a 1. And we think of the max being 6. Like if nothing's written down, your score for a business is so low. Like no one's going to buy you for what you think you're worth because it's not. There's a direct line on the score sheet. It's just, is it written or not? And that's simply because people do not want to buy a business that they have to go become the owner of when it comes to the blood, sweat, tears that owners do early on, and really for always. So yeah, writing things down is crucial. But those 3, Dickie, can you go over what were those 3 ceilings again? They were the
leadership ceiling, the vision clarity ceiling, and the process systems ceiling.
Man.
And if you picked one of those and said, hey, for the next 4 weeks, the next 8 weeks, I'm going to focus on writing down some processes that are, what's the most repeated process we do? What's the most manual? What would get me out of some chaos? How can I buy back 15 minutes this week? How can I buy back an hour this week? Pick one of those and commit to it. And man, what a change you'd make.
I'll go one step further. If you're listening, I want you to pick one. If you're a business owner, if you're the primary owner and you're listening, I want you to pick which of those 3 is your weakest point. And I want you to email Brandon or Shawn at mybusinessonpurpose.com and we will reply directly and we will send you every piece of material we have in that area. Right? It's 1 to 2 things, but we'll send you that. We'll send you the modules to train on it. We'd be happy to. And this offer is valid through June 30th of 2026. Because I don't want anybody 17 years from now when this YouTube video is still live emailing that expecting a result. So through June 30th of 2026, if you email, hey, my biggest ceiling is my leadership, we'll send you all the leadership content we have. We want you to have it. The theory is you're not going to know what to do with it. And you're going to hire us to coach you. And we'd love that too. But anyways, please email Brandon or Shawn at mybusinessonpurpose.com through before June 30th to get that content. We'd be happy to send it to you.
We also have Brandon at businessonpurpose.com. We've got both. So.
You're correct. It doesn't have to be my business. I realize when I log into things, I have to do my business because the login is under that, but I know the emails get, so just try your best.
When we got that nice new businessonpurpose.com URL, I mean, I thought that we had made it. I mean, that's just like my business on purpose is like, I know it's a little
Still
clunky,
good.
but
Still
business
good.
on purpose. That's what's up.
It is
It's got
Chris,
the
but I can't log in with it because it's not the email that I logged in with. It just is what's forwarded. But
forwarding, right?
anyways, business on purpose. We exist to liberate business owners from chaos. We would love to liberate you and your team from chaos. We work with business owners through people, purpose, process, and profit, leveraging our business operating system so that you can spend time on what matters most. We're doing it all across the country with a ton of different business owners. And if you feel like there's chaos in your life that you don't know how to get help with, please reach out. That's what we do. We'd love a phone call. So this has been
111
fun.
heroic business owners currently connected to business on
It's like
purpose.
Snake Eyes. There's another one, 111.
111. That's a good number.
Did you ever hear that? Like I remember baseball growing up when we would play people with the number 11. They like would be nicknamed Snake Eyes
Oh, I never heard that.
or
No.
like two dots, two ones,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Snake
no, I
Eyes.
get it. I know Snake Eyes for sure.
Oh, okay.
What's your game of choice in Vegas?
Never been.
Oh, you didn't go last year. That's right.
I was on my way.
What would
Uh,
your game of choice be in
Man,
Vegas?
I would have to say blackjack only because I'm not well versed in all of them. I think slots, like the thought of just mindless, whatever. But I think blackjack because I know how to play it. I know the theory. I know the strategy. I don't know how to count cards, but I like know the strategy of when you split, when you double. Like I know the math behind all that, which is
Yeah,
intriguing to me. So I would think that would have to be my best bet to actually get something
nice.
accomplished. So probably that. What about you?
I love poker, man. I play some poker. I didn't play last year because there was nobody there to play with. I think
Will
Thomas
you
was
play
going
with
to
me
bed.
next year? See,
Absolutely.
that's where I would have, dude, I would have been there in a heartbeat. My poor wife and I would have struggled. It would have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I next year Vegas, IBS,
Come
do
join
it
us.
Dickie and Donny style. We'll do a Dickie and Donny
I'll
happy
buy
hour
you
too.
one hand at the minimum table of blackjack if you come next year.
Boom.
Come
Boom.
on with it.
All
Well,
right, y'all.
Dickie, I'll
Peace.
see you in 1 minute.
1 minute for the next meeting.
That's nice.